Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
What up?
Are we live?
We live.
Oh, we're live. All right. I need some coffee. I think I need to take a sip of this mug right here.
Pinky's up, bro.
Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? This is another edition of That's Canon. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. Sorry.
Since I could hold my head up.
There's certain lines that as soon as you say them, you automatically think of a song.
Dude, every time you say it's been a while, that's what I say.
That band
every time.
stained
That's
that song on my brain.
That stained what?
That stained song on my brain because the band's Stained, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It is their one and only hit. I can guarantee you that much. And you know who was a strong supporter? Limp Bizkit's Fred Durst. So, you know where that's going.
Very Nickelback track. Nickelback-ish. My goodness, more coffee, please.
Nickel crappish is what you also could have said. Would have also been acceptable. The judges have spoken. All right, guys. So, yeah, it's been a while. But thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of That's Canon. We're going to be going over the Descenders. I said that was such... No, I shouldn't say. I actually like Descenders. But we're going to be discussing Descenders, which was written by... Who wrote Descenders?
Jeff Lemire.
Who was the first author we discussed. Because he wrote... Yeah, when we did the first issue, he's the one that wrote, if I'm not mistaken, Moon Knight, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
The Moon Knight that we read. And then we also got really excited when he was going to be taking a stab at Sentry, because we're like, he does mental issues really well. Yeah. And then what did he do? Wrote a story about a robot where emotions are fake. Interesting.
That's true. He did Old Man Logan, too. I forgot.
Did he?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that's true.
That is... when he finds out what he did to the X-Men...
Oh, yeah. That'll turn into a whole 10, 20-minute conversation that has nothing to do with anything, but we'll love it.
Yeah.
So, guys, this one, we're going to be doing the rundown and then going into the elevator pitch. So, I'll start you guys off first. 10 years after planet-sized robots called Harvesters appeared and wreaked havoc across the galaxy, a young android named Tim 21 wakes to find that all robots have been outlawed. But Tim may hold the secret to the Harvesters in his machine DNA, and he quickly becomes the most wanted robot in the universe. With bounty hunters and threats lurking at every turn, Tim embarks on a mind-blowing adventure through the stars along with his robot dog Bandit and a lumbering mining droid Driller. A heartfelt... Yeah, Driller's pretty awesome. A heartfelt, rip-roaring science fiction odyssey written by Jeff Lemire and featuring beautiful, fully painted artwork by Dustin Nguyen.
Yeah, not so mind-blowing as it just blowing. But
you didn't like the art?
I will.
Okay, we'll save that.
I will keep it.
But with that said, I want you to do the elevator pitch first. Hit us, buddy. Hit us.
Actually, I could probably do a good elevator pitch because the concept's not bad. But if I was going to, I'd be like, hey, so everyone does the AI apocalypse, and my boss would be like, yeah, what's up? And I'm like, I want to do the anti robot apocalypse. How does that start? Well, it starts with the AI apocalypse, and then then these big guys, like kind of like god type sized robots will destroy everyone, and then we'll be like, what the hell? And then they'll disappear randomly because when people want to take over stuff, they just decide to destroy everything and leave. And then the rest of the world will destroy all robots. It's like the anti-Bender. Instead of kill all humans, kill all robots. And
it's very interesting when you bring that up. It's like, what was their purpose of coming down? Was it to create, I don't know. It was like to destroy things, but then they left before everything was destroyed, and then humans were like, "Oh, robots tried to kill us. Let's kill all the robots we have."
Is that your pitch? Is that?
I wasn't done my pitch actually.
That's part. I'm adding on to your pitch, but go ahead.
You have more for your pitch?
A little bit. Because then my boss would be like, "Well,
your boss
that sounds a little convoluted. How are you gonna pass this by? I'm gonna create some really weird drawings that's gonna be really confusing to people. So hopefully they'll just continue."
Taking a stab at the artist.
Weird. You were describing those godlike robots. I'm like, how are they standing? Are they bigger than the planet Earth? Because the way the art depicts them is just like they're like these massive eyes in the sky, but you only see like half their bodies, which means that the other half is like they have to be bigger than the planet Earth.
Yeah. They're definitely they're so big that if they're standing on Earth, their upper body goes beyond the atmosphere, which in itself
pretty much a marble to one robot.
Yeah. There's 9 robots, one for each planet in their 9 planet system. So my pitch is, hey boss, I just got a quick thing. I'll ride the elevator with you. Have you seen The Matrix? Yeah. Can I tell you the story of The Matrix from the perspective of a kid who survives the Matrix culling before the Matrix actually happens? What do you mean? You know how in The Matrix there's that whole part where the robots keep getting killed in the streets? I want to tell that story from the perspective of one of the robots that ends up being important. That doesn't sound interesting to me. No. I can make it interesting. And I got this new kid, this Nguyen kid. He's got some mad art style. It's not even just like sketches. He does paintings, man. It's like, that sounds really expensive. Yeah, no, he owes me, so we gonna do it this way. What do you think? I can. Oh, you're getting off the elevator? Wait, I'll throw in something cool. There's an alien chick. Okay,
all right, fine.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. The usual. There's a blue alien chick. She's hot. Okay, do it. I know, the nerds will read that. That's how I felt about that character. Anyways.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all he was. And I don't really have much else to add to the elevator pitch. I just think it's the story of an android's coming of age.
Yeah.
That's a good one. See,
Toby, that was the best one.
That's
dude.
the one that would make it work. That's the one that would make it work.
An android coming of age is actually the quickest and easiest elevator pitch, and actually well done. I like that Toby's just like, I don't have much to add except the perfection,
except for the bomb with the mic drop.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's pretty much what this is. He's like the only one of his kind left, and he's just trying to figure out where to go from here.
Yeah.
I wake up one day and I'm the only one left. I am the last man, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I think that's a good one. I think that's a good one.
All right.
That's very passable.
All right. So, usually following our elevator pitch, we go into our judgment call. And as you guys may all recall, Toby is an over 2. Which means I'm out of this one. It is the winner of the first episode, Doc, versus actually, did you win the first episode, or is Dave on a 3-game winning streak?
I had a bit of a winning streak.
First 2. Doc won the last one.
Yeah.
That's true. All right, so it is winner versus winner here. Doc versus Dave. They faced each other in the first issue of the season, but as we all know how that went down, Dave won. So today is Doc versus Dave, and I think we will let Dave go first.
I don't mind being first in presentation.
Returning champ.
That's right. All right. So, I guess
I will tell you when your time is ready. Just give me 1 second. You got your character?
I got what I'm going to pitch, yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll go in 3, 2, 1.
You know what? We don't have enough, as of late, enough good evildoers. We're lacking them in the mutant variety. Some should have a bond like a brotherhood. The group I will be promoting today is the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Wow.
So, starting off, I know they've been exposed a bit, but the reason why I bring them up today is because they've been shat on with everything since the 2000s. They weren't really well represented in the X-Men Evolution cartoon show. They were horribly represented in the X-Men movies, especially the third one. They were not good in any of the other versions of it. They tried to do a good one in X-Men First Class, but again, very much lacking. And before, I bet Brian will bring this up, it is not because that they got a chance to shine and that they screwed up. It's because the people who wrote it shot them in the foot. They threw them in the garbage before they even got to the race. It is a perfect group that should be utilized if done correctly. Key characters in this group would be Magneto, who's always interesting if done well. Mystique, who has to come back to the dark side. Toad is probably the only good thing that came out of X-Men 1 in regards to that, because it was a cool version of himself instead of having the fat bastard version of him. Pyro's an interesting character that needs to be brought in. So is Avalanche. So Sabretooth is usually part of the group. Sure, you could have him. Same with Juggernaut, needs to be repolished because they screwed that up in popular culture today. Well, I mean, mind you, they did a good job in Deadpool 2, but still very limited. And I think it's very much needed. It's needed in both comic books because the X-Men have been lacking in a team to fight for a really long time. Again, it is a solid win in regards to making movies. And you need to have that opposing force. Personally, for me, in the new X-Men franchise that they're obviously going to do with Marvel, first movie should be just like the animated series. It's about Jubilee and Sentinels. Next movie, Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Why? Where there's a yin, there's a yang. There needs to be a balance. There's been so much X-Men, but no counterpart. They need to be there. And that's basically it. I'm not even gonna do much of a soapbox because in itself, it explains itself. It's just logical. It's logical, Brian, that they would come back. It's needed to come back. And frankly, there needs to be a strong force because frankly, you have all sorts of team-up movies and all sorts of team-up shows, and no show has done a good team, a bad team, and the best bad team, or one of the best bad team, is the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
I can't wait. I can't wait to do mine.
I'm done.
Sorry, Toby. You cut out for a split second. What'd you say?
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm going to save it for when I judge. No worries. You're ready? I'll let you go in 3, 2, 1.
It's funny that you picked a group of villains because I literally also picked a group of villains, and that makes me so happy that you did that. Because when you said it, I was just like, "This is perfect." So I will just say, the Council of Five is the group of villains from the comic book Wanted. If you guys ever read the comic book Wanted, Mark Millar, he wrote the story, and from the first issue alone, they made a horrible movie, speaking of actors who are in X movies, that McAvoy starred in. And it was horrible. And you know why the movie was horrible? Because they literally cut out the best part of the movie. The actual villains. The Council of Five is a group of villains made up of the Professor, Adam One, the Future, the Emperor, and Mr. Rictus. These characters, the Council of Five, have the world divided into different areas. North and South America to the Professor, Africa to Adam One, the Future got Europe, the Emperor got Asia, and Mr. Rictus had Australia and Oceania. The reason you need a super group of villains on the big screen is not necessarily for stories that have already been told poorly, but more for stories that can be the future. And the Wanted universe was never explored properly. They made one horrible movie that didn't focus or feature on anything that was anything related to the story. There is so much to be done with these characters. They run the world. They're part of a fraternity that beat all the superheroes. They are untouchable. You essentially commit crimes and you just get away with it. The comic book had so much and so many interesting things going on. They travel through portals into other universes. They kick ass. They run the world. They run business. And on top of that, one of the best parts of it is their secret society no one knows about, and the world trucks on perfectly. It's like having an elite, like an massively evil Illuminati, but no one knows the story of them because they're in one comic book that nothing got told about. When they decide to make the movie, you skipped over the most interesting part. These guys are the key to such interesting storytelling and could do so much. You could do prequels about them, how they got their powers, how they got their empires. You could literally tell the story of how they just became. You could do it in comic books. You could do it in video games. You could do a TV show. You could do it on HBO. You could do it on AMC. You could do it in all those networks. Anyone with cable could do this story better than the movie did because the movie wanted to speak to the mass public, but this is the type of thing that the mass public could absorb if it was done on cable and done right. Netflix, Hulu, any one of those guys could do something so cool with this. And instead, we got a crap movie, and I think they deserve a story to be told because they are really interesting characters.
Done. All right.
So this is King Gold versus Booster Gold all over again.
Oh, snap. All right. In defense, we will let our champ go first and defend, or I guess take down. Or if you choose to defend your side again, you can definitely do that. But you have a minute to take down his argument. So ready, set, go.
First of all, to say that it's not good to have, like, it's because they did bad storytelling, that's why they can't do mine. Yours was bad storytelling both in the movie and in the freaking comic book. One issue. You want to know why they had one issue? Because it was probably boring, probably sucked, and that's why they didn't continue. The movie sucked. Everything about Wanted kind of sucks. It's not a really good story. The actual good guy that you're following is a jackass, and he's useless. Why would I want to follow the bad guys trying to stop him? I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Frankly, meh. What? Oh, they're fighting a woven tapestry? That's what's happening here? And oh yeah, you're gonna say, oh well, that didn't happen in the comic book. Well, you wanna know why they didn't bring it to they didn't bring it to the full screen? Because everything about the comic book sucked. I can't wait.
All right.
I don't need anything else.
Okay. Let me reset timer here, Doc. You ready?
Baby!
You ready?
Yeah.
Set, go.
Everything you said was factually wrong. The reason that they did that is because they bought the rights to the story based off of the first issue, not the 6-issue run that he did. That's why there was so much stuff missing. Not because it was bad. He hadn't even written that stuff yet. So your entire argument is based in pure bull. And guess what? In the comic book, there's literally a monster made of shit. And that would be interesting to see. That's my point. No one knows enough about this stuff because they haven't written the story well. And to go to the Brotherhood, guess what? It's been done to death. They wanted to do a Magneto movie. They didn't even do it because they didn't even feel it would be worth it. They took Mystique and they threw her in with the good guys because they didn't even want to tell her story because she's actually one of the most despicable people, and they couldn't even figure out a way to make the story redeemable with her. There's so much stuff that they don't want to do with these characters, especially with Disney, because Disney wants to go in a more positive direction. They're not going to do those stories, and they wouldn't even do it well because it's already been done, and they don't want to dip into a bad pool again. Bong.
Into a Deadpool.
Oh!
All right, so
Well,
let's go back here. Timer off. That was pretty good. So let me start with the Brotherhood. Magneto is one of my favorite X-Men. His story, the way he came to be, his presence, his power set, his intelligence, he's just overall what you would want in a leader. Now his sort of motives may be misplaced at times. He's oddly enough one of the few villains that I know that really has his emotions show quite a bit. He lets his emotions drive his intentions. He lets his emotions drive a lot of the times his goals, and which is probably what leads to a lot of the failure that he sees. Definitely do think they haven't been done well. X2 probably came close to doing them well. The Brotherhood, X3 gave them a bigger spotlight, but then just did not put the story of the pieces together very well at all. Mystique definitely is better as a bad character than this good sort of, I don't even know what she is now, but that version of Mystique needs to go. I need my previous version back. Going to Wanted, I agree with Doc. I think they should have definitely waited for all 6 issues before making the movie. There's so much more to be told in this universe, especially with the Council of Five. I remember Mr. Rictus, one of the characters. His story to me was pretty interesting in the sense that, like, was he the one that outlived his children? Actually?
No, that's Adam 1.
That's Adam 1?
Yeah,
okay.
Africa,
so Mr. Rictus is the one where, like, he was religious and then he had an accident. He was about to die.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He died on the operating table. And because he's religious and he expected to go to heaven, he didn't see heaven. He saw nothing.
Yeah.
And and then he came back to life. Like, he survived. He just died briefly. He comes back and all of a sudden he's like, wait a second.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I died and there was no heaven, all these things I believed in all my life, and that in itself drove him to hate and drove him to this dark side of things where it's just like, well, if there's nothing good
what's the point?
then what's the point of me even being good? So that's what drives his character. Adam 1 is one of the first immortals, outlived his own children. There's a lot to be told there as well. And the Council of Five is actually based off of Japanese, I don't know if you know the Council of Five Elders.
Oh, no, I didn't know.
Yeah, there's like this Japanese ruler who wanted to make sure his son was actually his heir. So he created the Council of Five Elders to ensure that goes down. So I'm sure there's a little bit of like drawing from that in here. And the professor, he was the one who came up with the plan to eliminate all heroes. Yep. Like, there's a lot more story here. And unfortunately, because I haven't had enough of that, I haven't gotten enough of it before, I'm going to have to go with the Council of Five, because there's a lot to be told here. I know a lot about the Brotherhood already. I know a lot of people do. Unfortunately, just like Nightcrawler in their previous episode, they have seen their spotlight. They just haven't gotten their fair share, which I hope they end up doing. But I don't know how else they're going to tell the story without retelling it. And if they're going to retell it, it better be done right the next time, because there won't probably be a next time after that. Yeah. But I would love to see a fresh take. And I think in this situation, sorry, Dave, but your win streak is over. I am going with the Council of Five.
And I retire.
You should have retired on top, man. Should have taken that loss. 50. You should have gone 50-0 like Mayweather, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
The reason I picked them is specifically because you said don't use the Invincible universe, and I was just like, there's a lot of universes out there, and we should explore them all.
If they make that movie, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah,
I would because I would.
But that's the thing. I don't even think it should be a movie. They should do a TV show on like HBO, because you can't tell the story of Wanted it'd have to be a rated R movie, and there's too much story to tell. Whereas you could do a season, and you could do it on, HBO or Netflix or something, where you can just go. I mean, even Netflix, I would say, wouldn't want to touch this. I'd say you really need to go like HBO or Showtime, like one of those networks that's like cool with just slitting throats and stuff. Because like literally a shit monster smothers somebody to death in feces. Like, it's disgusting. Like, it's a crazy story.
Doc has a feces fetish.
I have a good story fetish. No. That's what
listen, they have the whole Malar world going down, so maybe eventually we will see this.
That would be great.
But one thing for the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, the only reason why I think it'd be a good idea is honestly because that should be the Rogue movie. I always thought that if Rogue had a standalone movie, which would be her origin movie, you could set up Mystique, you could have Magneto in the background, and you could have the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. They get Rogue does the whole absorbs Miss Marvel and gets the powers and all that type of stuff. Like, that's...
But you like everything you're describing, I agree. It's just those are things that are down the road, and they've already attempted to do part of it.
And they mess it up so bad.
And that's the thing. That's why I'm trying my best to argue characters that they have not done. Because all the characters they've done poorly. Like, they haven't done any of the characters that we feel deserve more shine well, because that's the whole reason we're bringing them up.
So we should create a different judgment call segment, which is like, who can do who better.
No, you're right. I think in these cases, if you're gonna pit me a character like a group like Doc did versus a group that I already know of, chances are, if that group that he pitched is more interesting or has something that hasn't been done, I'll probably lean more that way, to be honest, because it's newer, it's fresh, and they might not even do them right when they come out, right?
For sure.
So
that's a major
and then a year from now, we could be trying to make an argument for they deserve better shine or something like that because they weren't done right.
And that the Wanted movie was to my advantage because they literally cut out
everything.
Yeah. Anyways,
we should do an episode where we review all these judgment calls and see what's actually come to fruition.
Oh yeah, there's a few. Like the Invisible stuff is going to happen.
Yeah. Invincible's been turned into a series on Amazon, I think.
Although it didn't win, you're getting your Eternals.
Eternals, yeah.
Eternals, yeah.
I got my Shatterstar, which got shattered.
I need a moment. All right.
Discussion
of Descender. What did we think of Tim 21?
I mean,
it's interesting, but kind of, I don't know.
An android coming of age. I mean, you really hit it on the head when you said it. It really is the story of an android who's been asleep for 10 years. He didn't know. So it's like, not Rumpel. What's the name of the old man by the water that wakes up?
Oh, I don't.
That like really famous fairy tale. I always forget the name.
Old Man by the Water.
Yeah, he's like, he fell asleep and then he wakes up and it's like 20 years later.
Oh, no, I don't remember.
And that's because it's not Rumpelstiltskin.
I don't remember this.
Definitely not.
Rip Van Winkle. There we go. Rip Van Winkle. It's like a Rip Van Winkle story. You wake up, it's 10 years has passed, you have no clue what's going on. The last time you were awake, everything was fine. And then when you wake up, and because you're a robot, you get to wake up after a disaster that's killed everybody has come. And now we, as the readers, are following your story, trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, the story doesn't actually start with him. It does start with...
It starts with the actual destruction. Invasion. And then
and we meet Dr. Kwan, the guy who supposedly created all these machines that are pretty much part of society now on Earth.
Yeah. And then it leads to you finding Tim walking around and basically piecing things together, and then he eventually attaches himself to the equivalent of what is the internet, and he finds out what's happened in the last 10 years, and he finds out that 90% of the robots have been destroyed, and that scrapers exist. Scrapers being a group of people who go out to just find and kill robots. Scrappers. Is it scrappers or scrapers?
Yeah, scrappers.
Scrappers, sorry. And and which makes logical sense, to be quite honest. In this reality.
Oh, for sure. That's one thing that I could not fault humans for. Like, I get that it's an unfortunate reaction because, well, 5 robots did this, so every robot is guilty. But
that speaks a thing on humanity in itself.
Yeah, but the difference between humanity and robots, it sucks, but AI is not human yet. No. You know, like, the AI doesn't have an emotional connection yet. You know, the AI that we know of is mimicking emotion. There's a base program that they might share. They might be linked. Should you have destroyed them all? Maybe not. Should you have shut them all down and done tests? That's more what you could have done. But in a moment of mass fear and panic, human nature is... Burn it all.
Well, like, if you think, because you also think about it in how they described it, it made it sound, and like the human race in this is not necessarily human. It's human. It's any humanoid in this situation, because you're talking about like green and blue aliens as well being considered part of these like 9 planets or whatever. You'd have to assume that at least half of that population got destroyed by the attack in itself. So right away they're outnumbered in that. So you'd obviously want to equal things out. But no, so it goes to that, and then after, so then the people eventually, since he links up to the internet, people find him or figure out where he is, and then it's a race to Timmy. I'll give him the nickname Timmy.
Ew. Timbo! Timmy Deuce 1!
You know?
Nothing makes him seem
the
cooler.
2-1. But no, then eventually his quote-unquote creator finds him, and then scrappers find them, and then bring them to their planet because they...
you're skipping over a huge part.
Okay, yeah. They also find that
the father of modern robotics is woken up because, you know, like you said, Tim goes out and figures everything out. The father of modern robotics is just like, you know, he's in debt. He's just kind of like low life because people blamed him for what happened. You're the father of robotics, and these robots all went crazy and destroyed half our population. What is your connection? What happened? We need to know. And then, you know, he essentially gets forced to follow the UGC, the Universal
Galactic Council or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And, you know, he gets taken on this thing under the guise of like a discussion, but while he's walking with them, it's very much the sense of like an interrogation.
Yeah.
And then you start to find out the base code, or DNA as the write-up says.
The codex.
Yeah. Is in Timmy's
Superman thing there.
Yeah. In the Tim. Damn you got me saying Timmy, but Tim 21. Tim 21's base code is the same as the Harvester base code.
Yeah,
and that's
the Harvesters being the people, the machines that invaded Earth, or at least attacked Earth,
which look like the Celestials. If you know Marvel, or if you want a better example, think of 9 Galactuses.
Yeah,
or
robotic Galactus
or whatever.
Sorry,
I said Earth, but it wasn't Earth. It's another planet.
Yeah, it's like 9 planets.
They all
planet Narita.
Yeah,
was that one?
But there's 9 of them, and there's 9 Celestials or Harvesters that show up, and then that's the weird part. I always wondered why they called them Harvesters, because they didn't harvest anything.
No,
they literally just destroyed everything. So.
That part was definitely confusing. We might have missed something, but if we all 3 didn't see it, then chances are they just chose a name and stuck with it with no real logic behind that. So Tim 21 wakes up, but he wakes up on a moon colony. Where there's like a mine, and he was assigned to a family. He was pretty much created and assigned to a family by Dr. Kwan, which I don't know why.
He's supposed to be like a bodyguard for the... Like, he's like a companion bodyguard for kids.
Yeah.
That's basically
so he's not the only one like that was created.
No.
Right?
But it's just the idea that, like... Darwinism at its worst, because it's just like, okay, here's this robot that will protect my son, because there's that scene, right, where Andy does something and literally would have died, and Tim saved him, and it's just like, it's a good thing Tim was here, and you're like,
yeah,
sure, I guess.
Maybe your kid wasn't stupid.
Or also, maybe don't bring your kid to a mining colony. Maybe leave the kid with family if you're going to be on a date. Like, if he goes outside to play and there's a potential of death where the robot has to save him, you're maybe not doing the right job, Mom.
Yeah, exactly.
So Tim wakes up, doesn't know what's happening, connects himself to the internet, let's say, for lack of a better term here.
Yeah.
But by doing that, he alerts pretty much everybody to his existence.
Yeah.
So at this point, everyone knows, okay, there's a humanoid, there's a robot out there. We need to go get it because it's worth a lot probably, and B, probably knows the answers to why things happened 10 years ago.
Yeah, his code.
And exactly. So, and at the same time, we get the Dr. Kwan, the guy who created Tim 21, getting approached by a bunch of, I don't even know what to call them, but we're going to say some military personnel from the council.
Yeah, they see military, Yeah, they see at least,
Yeah, and one of them is Captain Telsa, or Tesla, as he called her at first.
He doesn't know how to say it. He's just like, Tesla? It's like, Telsa!
And they tell him, what's going on, and, we found this, and there was an emergency council following the Harvester attacks, and we need you to come because we found that one of your humanoid androids is still alive, and, you might be the only one.
The base code matches.
Yeah. Exactly. So pretty much they grab him to find this Tim child companion bot that's still left alive. And at this point, we still don't know what Tim's importance is in all this. Really.
Yeah, I mean, well, we do know that his base code matches the base code of Harvesters.
Yeah, which they assume is a way to maybe find them and or destroy them, or potentially create their own.
Because that's one thing, they don't explain why his code is important.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
He has a similar code to the Harvesters. Cool. The massive monsters that destroyed us. Good job? I mean, I don't know.
The military general of sorts, he's questioning about it, and he doesn't respond, but then one of the people questioning is like, you want to make your own. And he basically doesn't. He gives that response of like, yes, but like, I'm not.
That's way later, but I'm just saying at the beginning, with Tim as a character, you're supposed to feel this connection to him. He's the character that you're seeing the story through. He's our protagonist, and you're just like, okay, cool. And then, but one of the things that I feel weird is, as a protagonist and the innocence of a robotic child, he also has like an arm cannon that blows holes through people.
Well, that's the security feature, right?
He doesn't actually know his full potential. I feel like he reminds me of Astro. He reminds me of Astro Boy.
Exactly. This feels really very much like an Astro Boy story. It's like you're the last of your kind. It's like take Krypton, the Matrix, and Astro Boy, put them in a pot and blend it. And we've said this. We've said there's no original stories under the sun. But
it's very hard to find something that's original.
But if you can take what's already there and make it your own and make it interesting, you got me.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know if I feel Lemire really did that for me, because I find Tim interesting. But I say this: the first 6 issues, you didn't do enough for me to love the character as a protagonist.
I'd say definitely the first 4.
Okay, well, I mean, for me, the last page of the last issue, I was actually really upset.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was just like, I was like, oh, volume 1 ends like this.
Yeah, you're not unique.
Like I don't know how I'm gonna feel. Like I'm not. I do want to read volume 2, but I'm annoyed that you did it this way.
Yeah, and also before people find Tim, sorry. He does befriend his dog that he apparently had way back when.
Good old Bandit.
And he finds Driller
the killer.
Yeah, which I thought was he was like very like gang mentality. I guess talking.
Driller's just like, hate the humans, kill.
He was like a
they
deranged
call
bender.
Fumes.
Yeah.
Like fumes, they don't deserve to exist or something. But one thing I did not enjoy about, like, especially the first couple of issues. Although when it's space and it's in the times where Timmy is discovering, so it's meant to be scary. It's meant to be like very like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I thought the art was good for that, but for everything else, I really hated it.
Really?
I really didn't like the art. There's many times, especially, for example, Bandit, there's times I'm like, is he talking to his ass? Like, I can't even tell where this is positioned. Like, don't be wrong. It's like, continuity-wise, I'm talking about. Like, he has pages that are gorgeous. Like, if you go back, like, when you see, there's a page where, you see the Harvester, he's about to destroy everything, and he destroys it. It's a good page. The first page where you're seeing all the ships and things flying around, cool. When you see Tim wake up and he starts walking around the ship, cool. But there's so many other times that you're looking at it and it's like, it's just a blank screen of meshed colors and whatnot. And
it's water. It's kind of like watercolors, right?
I'm pretty sure it is.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for me, the art is the thing that I like more than the story.
Yeah,
for me, it was a real turn off.
Interesting. I really like the use of empty space.
Agreed.
Because like the way I don't know if this was a white canvas and he didn't paint that area or he did paint it white, but the way he kind of plays with shading and lighting, that's what makes it different to me. It really does feel like paintings. It reminds me of like Gabriel Dell'Otto, who's another painter more than comic book artist, and they did that Secret Wars comic book a couple years ago with Nick Fury, Luke Cage, Spider-Man, Black Widow, and Daredevil, and that was all painted. And it was gorgeous. And then this is obviously not Gabriel Dell'Otto. Don't get me wrong. No one's Gabriel. But this I find beautiful. Like, I think the way... I do agree with you. There are... One of the things that happens when you have painters do comic books is sometimes painters do these really big, beautiful pieces. Like, from what I understood, Gabriel, when he was doing that comic book, Secret Wars, some of the pages were actually done like full walls that they scanned and then like he did these like big massive paintings that were then reduced. And I like the idea, like some of this stuff, it feels like similarly with Nguyen, there's panels that look like big beautiful paintings that they then had to like bring down, like
Shrink
the really
down,
like the really nice scenic stuff. Anything that has lots of detail, I'm guessing he did like small, or maybe he did do big and they shrunk it down. But there's like in the first issue, for example, the one where he goes outside with Bandit for the first time. And I get what you're saying about the color. Like, that's another thing, though. If you're painting and then you're going to reproduce the paint in comic books, you as much as the technology is advanced, you want to use the same reds. So, when Tim is standing next to Bandit, his uniform, the red on his uniform matches Bandit's red, the white matches white. So, there are times where I could understand why, if you see the two of them and the shot is kind of weird, it kind of just looks like where does he start? Where does Bandit start? Where does he end? So I get
like
that.
Yeah. And that's okay, because sometimes I feel like they're trying to get across the emotion of the scene too with the colors that are chosen. So I feel like it's okay for this whole panel to be colored red because now they're either in danger or, or like, seeing the world through rose-colored glasses or like happy moments or like greener, and tense moments are sort of like a purpley blue, and there's the emotions behind the actual painting. When the discussion is going on, it's actually pure white in the background and you're only seeing the characters' faces, so I don't know, I really like the artwork here a lot. Actually, it's very different from what we're used to. It's not sharp lines, it's kind of like just flowing penciled frames. To me it looks gorgeous.
But again, art is the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's example, like when I was reading Uncanny X-Force for the first time, which is honestly one of my favorite reads. It's one of the things that brought me back into comic books. That was one of my complaints for the first couple of issues. I was not in it, but the story itself overshadowed everything. And this is something that maybe I could have gone on board with it if the story was up to par. But specifically the first 4 issues for me, I was there, I'm like, can something happen? Yeah. Can something... Just give me something. I don't care if it's a random person's body that falls in front of him and he's examining it because he's wondering like how people work. Just something. Give me something. Because I didn't have that.
Do you feel that, and this is what we were saying, do you feel that because the story is slightly predictable, it, again, is the coming-of-age story of a robot with a little bit of the Matrix, a little bit of the Astro Boy, like all those common elements that come with space and robotics and AI? Do you feel that maybe we as consumers are getting bored with stories like this? So that's why because the first 4 issues to someone who's never heard any of those stories that I've mentioned would probably be like, ooh, space travel, robotic boy with laser cannons.
Yeah, if you lived under a rock. Like in regards to nerds, right? Like, because like this might be interesting to someone who is maybe not a nerd or maybe not like a sci-fi or comic book person. But for those people, it is unique in the sense you are doing the anti-version. It's not AI destroying all of Earth, and then it's the opposite, which is cool. But like, I don't know. For me, just like to be able to really jump into it, it's like if you don't have something that gets knocked out of the park, how am I supposed to react to that? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. Like, not everything is bad, but not everything is good. Which to me, it's like maybe it wasn't necessarily that the art was bad, but mixed with the story, just like how I depict some scenes, they're just bland.
Oh, okay.
And like, so maybe the word I used was not correct.
So
like
I get
the word like maybe saying it's bad wasn't, but bland for me was. And everything was blended together and not...
So, with you using the word bland and then the arts being just very basic, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because there are panels where it's just like black, white, red. And then the story itself is just 1, 2, 3. So you're kind of like, okay, the story isn't really moving around that much. The art doesn't really move around that much. Let's get to an interesting part. Yeah. So I get that. Because I definitely agree with you then as to why issues 5 and 6 you liked. Because issues 5 and 6 have a new planet, new characters, new colors, lots of, and like interesting twists. Oh,
you're finding out secrets and stuff. It's like
well,
that.
See, there you go. So remember how we talked about in our last issue that there wasn't that much exposition.
Yeah.
This one gives us a lot of exposition in the first 3-4 issues. Yes. It explains a lot.
A very slow build up.
It's so I kind of liked it for that though, especially after reading the last one.
Yeah,
putting them back to back, I kind of like this for the fact that okay, I understand what's going on. I understand why they're looking for this Tim 21. I understand who the characters are they're looking for them. It's also got a little Star Wars-esque situation going on with our Jabba the Hutt character, sort of trying to capture Tim 21 for himself. I forget what his name is.
I'll look it up.
Gross looking pig character.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Kwan and Telsa and her companion finding Tim 21 on the moon. He was already attacked by some scrappers that they disposed of, and now they're trying to fix him up and take him back so they can, find out what he knows, or I don't know what they're going to use him for yet. And then they get captured themselves by this Jabba the Hutt character who now wants possession of Tim 21 for himself, and and then this is the issue 5 and 6 that we get into that you like the most, where a lot more of the action takes place because now we know everything. Now it's like, okay, what do we do with the information that we know now?
Because it's like,
and then we find out more about Dr. Kwan and his deception,
douchebag,
when they were captured and he was being tortured. Again, more torture in this one as well. Right away, the Jabba the Hutt character, again, his name I can't remember.
He's the leader of the Genetians, and I'm trying to find his name.
He's just the pig.
Okay, so all these planets are pretty much formed their own factions at this point. A lot of them have formed their own factions, and they don't really mesh anymore ever since the attacks.
Yeah.
And they're all after their own survival, and so this planet captured Tim 21 and Telsa.
Yeah, the Genetians, and it's King Snock the Third.
King Snock.
Yeah.
Just think of a gross-looking pig guy.
Yeah.
So as they're like torturing the doctor, they cut off his arm.
Yeah.
And right after doing so, he's like, okay, I guess they don't, they're going to kill, they're going to kill me. They mean business. And he tells them, okay, I never created this. I didn't invent Tim 21. I stole the schematics for everything that you guys know that, or you guys think that I created. And then we get into his past and how he came across all that information,
which is really
through
cool.
through his old mentor.
Yeah. Which is really cool because you end up finding out that they did a dig.
Archaeological dig.
Yeah, they did an archaeological dig. And then they found an android, which makes no sense. And when they activate the android's like, you guys fucked up. You guys all fucked up.
You should have activated me.
It is a bad
They were
thing.
there like 20,000 years ago or something like that.
Some crazy number, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so these humanoid androids have existed on their own without human intervention for a long time. They've been on Earth before. A lot of the technology, so it means like technology. We think about time as linear, but I feel like time is happening all at the same time. Does that make sense?
It's
technology.
like there's a term for that. There's a term where people could go through like all their lives, like seeing through the third eye or whatever, right?
Well,
they could go
all I know is that this whole angle of how this has happened before and it will happen again, Battlestar Galactica. Like those are all the things I like. As I was reading this, and again, I'm not mad at the fact that you are taking, because I'm sure there was before Battlestar Galactica. There's another story that says this. Oh, Ragnarok. Actually, what am I saying? If we're gonna go back to the original, it's happened before. It'll happen again. Ragnarok with the Thor, not the comic book version, but actual Norse mythology. The whole idea is that it has all happened before. It literally just loops, and that's the sense you kind of get in this story when you find out that these robots have already been here, and the robot wakes up and he's just like, "You fucking idiot!" I mean, he doesn't say it like that, but it's kind of the sense of like, "Oh man, y'all done fucked up. It's happening. It's gonna happen."
I didn't want to say that.
I just like that the original professor. The first professor,
like
Professor
Quan's,
Solomon, who is a professor to Quan, is just like, shut it down. Shut it down. And he's like, yo, dude, shouldn't we find out more information before we shut it down? He's like, nah, man, I don't want to deal with that shit. Shut it down.
He's like, he's telling us not to fuck around with it, so why are you fucking around with it?
Yeah.
Like, he's a half-deceased android. He does not look happy. I don't want to bring out whatever he's talking about.
So Dr. Solomon is the black guy when there's like a monster and a weird sound goes off, and he's just like, I'm getting out of here. So like, that's that like natural reaction of like, nah, man, I ain't playing with that. But then this bonehead Quan's that kid who sits there goes, but I wonder, what are you talking about? It's like, oh, everything's gonna get destroyed. Tell me more about this destruction that you speak of. No, stupid, I'm telling you, we're all gonna die. How are we gonna die? Okay, here, just do what you're gonna do.
Like, the only thing I really found cool in the first 4 issues was when you found out that there was like a covert robot, like in the council. I'm like, oh, so the
robots are hiding people.
Yeah, like, cool. That means there's probably more of them or something.
Yeah. I thought that was super cool.
The only thing cool about 5 was really that things were finally happening.
Did you think that robot... So there's a scene where the UGC gathers together, and after the UGC meeting, Telsa's father, who is essentially one of the higher-ups in the military, walks out, and one of his underlings approaches him and tells him, the Ganetians have your daughter, they have the robot, we're really, like, it kind of sucks. And then all of a sudden you see this girl go into a room, and she sends a message, we have credible information that the boy is on Ganesh, whatever the planet's name is. And then something comes out of her.
I feel like she took her own, like, what's that thing when you put the
cyanide?
Yes.
I was wondering if they have nanobots.
Oh, fine.
And if they take over humans.
Oh, well, no, because the girl, if you looked at her hand, it actually came out of her body.
Something opened up in her hand, right?
I know, but I'm saying if nanobots go inside a human body and take over the body and start to use robotics,
but
it's possible. The nanobots start.
So there
eating...
could be a much larger population you don't even know, and maybe that's why they harvest. Maybe like later on, like. See, because that would make sense for the name, finally. You know what I mean? Because the thing
harvesters.
Because the harvesters, let's say when they did that, when they destroyed everything, what part of that destruction was like when people thought they died, that's when the hypothetical here, the nanobots went into those bodies and they got reconstructed. But that's like, I would think
if they're that advanced, they just created humanoid versions of those people that they killed and just left them there, right?
Yeah, like Battlestar Galactica. Like, what are those
Cylons? Yeah. Cylons, yeah. But it's just because when you see her and she goes into that room and and I agree, her hand does open up so that she can talk, and I thought that was super weird. But then I was looking at it and I was just like, there's so much technology in place to try and make sure that robots aren't there and aren't infiltrating, and they're really trying to make sure that robots don't come back. How could a robot just be walking around so easily? That's what I found.
Well, I mean, if the harvesters are that smart, then, I mean, again, assuming that it is the harvesters that created this thing.
Oh, yeah, we don't know.
Right, we don't know, but then it would be easy for them to hide the identity somehow. But also, why kill her then? Right? It's kind of like you're leaving evidence of a robot in your midst, right? That part I didn't really understand.
Because if it was a self-destruct, like it faded away.
But if my theory on nanites, the nanites then leave the body, and it's a dead body.
But
true.
But if we're taking that,
tossing out conspiracies, baby.
No, if we're taking that, that's all fine and good, and you might be right, but you'd have to read way past issue 6 for that.
Exactly.
So which case is not, which is it's not curious. It doesn't spark my curiosity enough.
For me, that panel did. That panel made me really interested. I know it's a throwaway. It's one page. It's a throwaway. You just see this girl. She walks into a room. She says Hardwire Channel 3. Then they reference a Hardwire later on. And I'm just like, that's weird. But then you see that kind of like smoke thing come out of her. Again, let's say the scenario is you have a robot infiltrated into the main office. Why would you kill the robot? You are robots.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm saying, like, is it a human body that they're just not using? Like, they don't need anymore? Because if it's a robot, like, why you as a robot are part of the, like, are you a martyr? Like, again, you're right. I have to read past, but but
you're right. The killing of her after she delivers such good intel doesn't really
make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Long live the Hardwire.
And then she kills herself, or she self-destructs for it to believe that that's what happened. But she self-destructs in the quote-unquote council or embassy building, right? So it's like
down the hall. It's weird.
Yeah.
It was weird.
But something for me that was lacking, personally for me, I guess character development and relationship development in this, for me, was lacking. Like, example, although I was interested in Timmy's, like, discoveries, I was like, it waned. Finding out that the dad wanted to make his own harvester, I was like, okay, that's cool, but the actual relationship with your daughter, I don't care. I admit a badass moment is when you find out how his wife and her mom died because the harvester went and cut her in half and stuff. That was cool, but again, that was excessively predictable that the mom died tragically, and I was like, obviously she died in front of this girl, that's why she's so bitter. The only cool character development that I enjoyed was Driller Killer and that guy. Tullis. Like, when they finally like when they're putting the gladiator pit and like he jumps on one of the robots, rips off a gun just so that he could have one. I was like, okay, cool. You're starting to wrap me up, but the fact that I had to go through like 4.5 issues to get to this point, like
that relationship was very Rocket Raccoon and Groot.
Yes. Well, analogy. You're right. That
very good analogy.
Yes.
But for me, it's like it basically is for me personally. For me, the thing that that this book was suffering from, and it's cool because some books are like this. It's suffering from the slow burn concept. You got to read a bit, and you got to get. I bet at some point in time, this gets super interesting. But 4.5 issues in, and I'm still meh. And even at the end of issue 6 specifically, you're like thumbs up, waning to thumbs down.
I feel like we're two different kinds of readers with a lot of different content when it comes to different content. Because to me, this was like just right.
Yeah, it was enough to make you want to read more, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like super overtly like, oh man, what's gonna happen next? But it kept my attention. I was like, oh okay, yeah, I'm getting my questions answered pretty much every other issue. Enough exposition and sort of character relationship for me to buy into what their mission is.
Yeah.
And the reveal at the end of another, spoiler alert, of another Tim android existing. So this guy is Tim 21, the one we've been learning about the whole time. Another mercenary walks in with a Tim 22. And that's the reveal at the end.
No, it's not another mercenary. It's another. It's the robot group.
Yeah, the Hardwires.
It's the Hardwires.
Oh yes, sorry. Yeah.
So can I ask
it.
you a question?
Yeah.
Both of you. Were you shocked? Like, serious, for the second you saw him, were you shocked?
That Tim 22
about
existed?
Tim 22?
Yeah. Like, oh, you look like my son. And then that's Tim 22.
I was shocked in the sense that I was annoyed that that's where they went. I was just like, this whole thing's happening, and I figured that those robots, Hardwire, whatever they're called, yeah, I think it's Hardwire that they keep referring to them as.
It is.
But I was just like, okay, so Hardwire are going to show up, the underground robot resistance. They've come for Tim 21. They know that he's important. They've intercepted all the communication. This kid holds the code that's similar to the Harvesters. The robots have been completely treated like crap after everything that the Harvesters did. They want revenge on the humans. Maybe they want to build their own Harvesters to come back and destroy the humans again. Who knows? So that's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, that's why they're coming for Tim 21. They want the code. I'm super excited. Then I get to that last panel, and it's just like, meet Tim 22. Oh, Tim 21, meet my son, first of all. Like, I didn't know Pius was out there, or I am Pisius. I didn't know Pisius was out there doing that, slanging that robotic
when he had
love.
when he had the dream of
Yes.
like a bunch of.
cool.
So I feel like
iRobots.
the
I
Hardwire,
like that.
the Hardwire are the rebels, right?
Yeah.
At this point, so like that girl who killed herself in the embassy was working for the rebels, not the actual enemy, not the harvesters,
No.
right?
Okay, yeah.
It's funny how you guys think that they're not one of the same.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
I'll say my point after you guys are done.
Yeah, I do think they're not the same. I do think you have the robots or the machines that were created on these planets by Dr. Kwan, and then you have the harvesters who are this like ancient civilization who came back because they had a beacon that was launched upon the creation of the Tim androids.
Okay.
That's exactly. You and I are in this. That's exactly what I thought too.
Because the thing for me, something I didn't like, and this is maybe why I was turned off. I predicted a lot of this while I was reading it.
Well, I mean,
and like example, when he's like, "Oh, you're gonna see my son," I'm like, "It's Tim." Like I was like, I didn't even before he said son, I'm like, so I wonder when they're gonna finally show like the base model that actually made this. I was waiting for it.
Okay.
And so like, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And even in my head, I'm like, okay, so he has the same codex. So these guys are the harvesters. These are probably the guys who did it all. Or there's probably a good reason for it. Maybe the harvesters are like the ancient version of themselves that are evil, but these guys are for sure part of the same family.
Yeah.
And the only thing that shocked me when I was reading it much was when he was like, oh, I'm not the originator. I'm like, okay, cool. And then it fell back into, okay, well, now I know how this is going to go out. I know you're going to meet at least one other Tim 22 that's not made by a human being, that's made by these robots. Even when I saw the girl, when I saw her, like, we know where he is, I'm like, yeah, you're going to claim your property because you have like other ones and like you want to make sure they didn't bastardize your children.
My one thing with that is, why would robots make a robot to look human? That's what I find weird.
Image.
No, I know,
because
I just find it weird. Like, why would you make Tim 22? Like, Pisceus does not. Pisceus is a robot. He doesn't look like a human.
But they're humanoid looking.
They're humanoid looking robots.
So if anything,
but they literally made Tim 22 and Tim 21, who was made by Quan, look like humans
to infiltrate humanity for sure.
But you think that's what Tim 22 is supposed to infiltrate humanity?
Not twin Tim 22. Yes. Like their spawn for sure, because I have a feeling at the end of the day there's going to be some type of balance between harvesters were evil, maybe there's some harvester like lack of a better term group that wants to kill the humans. They're infiltrating the humans after that whole thing.
Okay.
And then we have to figure out a way to get around that, look normal, and be able to figure out what the hell's really going on. How are we going to do that? Well, we'll make androids that look like humans.
Okay.
Like, that's the thing. Is like, maybe I've watched too many sci-fi things that this reminded me a lot of stuff.
Well, dude, I've said from the beginning, this is iRobot, Matrix, like every different page is, even the girl that we're talking about, the one that if dissolves or whatever and martyrs herself at the end, she looks like the robot from Blade Runner. The girl.
True, very true.
Like, all of it looks familiar to me. So that's why, while I was reading this, I was just like, I see a lot of peppering pieces to make a story, but, I found it a little weird, but I also didn't dislike the story.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we done the review.
Yeah, Toby was just about to say the same.
Yep.
Best, favorite, worst robots?
Best, favorite, worst robots. This is a huge list actually here, so I'm not really. It's going to be hard for me to pick either.
Oh, I know. I've put in some thought into this because I knew it would be hard.
I'll go with my favorite, and my favorite, it may not be a popular one because it's not a good robot. It's a villain. I'm going to go with the T-1000 as my favorite robot. Or machine, whatever you want to call them, solely because, man, A, it was one of my favorite movies, T2. B, he looked indestructible.
This is a liquid really hard one, right?
This was one of the scariest robots, villain I've ever seen, and I think I actually honestly was rooting for him at some point. I'm like, there's no way they're gonna beat this thing, and the only way for them to beat him was to melt him.
Yeah, burn him, dissolve him.
Which technically, based on the alloy that he's made off of, that really wouldn't have worked. Yeah. But anyway, I think that's gonna be my favorite one. What about you?
My favorite robot would definitely be Dragon Zord.
Is that
really
a
big
robot?
It's a big robot mechanical thing that
It's manned though. We're talking
it's
like
more, no. It's more that you give it commands and it follows the command, which I'd say that's pretty much a robot.
okay.
If we start having the debate of what counts as a robot,
like that's a whole
gonna be a
other
long
thing.
podcast.
You know, like we only have so much time. But no, I would say that. Dragon's Door's my favorite robot.
My favorite.
What about you, Doc?
My favorite?
Yeah.
Hot Rod, Rodimus Prime.
Oh shit!
Transformers, baby. He has a whole shelf of his own on my display.
I almost want to change my choice. I definitely think I might want to change my choice.
I just like
I
him.
should have guessed that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of him and Optimus are two of my favorite characters. Sound Blaster, Track. Actually, I won't go into that.
This is gonna be a list
because my best and favorite will just literally be me like listing off all the '80s Transformers that I love.
So now I'm curious. So if that's your favorite, what's your best?
The best robots.
Best robot.
See, that's always...
Let's broaden the term robot for a second here. We're going to say machine, android, whatever you want to call it, all fall into that category.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because I figured, like, Transformers are sentient, like...
Yeah.
They're robots in disguise, but I've always thought of them as, like, well, they're sentient beings.
They're just another species.
Yeah, they're a species that happens to be mechanical, but robot makes me... Because the word robot makes me think of something that we're controlling, as opposed to...
Or more, not lack of a better term, not necessarily slaves to us, but like they follow instruction, right?
Yeah, I always picture like when we say the word robot, it's something that is, you're right, not enslaved, but has to follow what our directives, the 3 laws, and all that junk.
Yeah.
And
they don't think on their own necessarily.
But we're expanding on that.
Yeah, we're expanding on that. Because it'd be splitting hairs at that point.
Yeah, because Hot Rod is
my best. Yeah. Just to start that conversation, I'm going to go with Ava from Ex Machina.
Ava from Ex Machina is a pretty
manipulative, smart, everything that you would want or not want in a sentient sort of humanoid robot android. That's all she is. She learned how to manipulate. She learned how to be like the whole thing was really about her humanity.
Yeah,
and how she chose to use her humanity.
Yeah.
Based on her conditions, she felt locked up. She never really felt human, right? She was never really treated as a human. She was treated more like a caged animal. And it's good to see that. What if one of us was caged like that? With the sort of powers that we have, how would we get out of that situation? And she did it perfectly, in my opinion. And when she left that cave, it made you realize, oh shit, the world is fucked. Like the world is fucked if she's unleashed out there. So I'm gonna go with the best being her, because if anyone can bring about the sort of apocalypse, I think it's her.
Okay. So I'll go with my best. I'm gonna go with what I consider the OGs of robots.
Okay.
The robots that without these guys, I don't think anybody would have been able to really connect. I think it's
don't tell me C-3PO or R2-D2.
Hold on, let me finish. What I'm going to say is the first time you ever remember, your first robot that you remember, that you really remember, with maybe the exception of Transformers,
for me
would be C-3PO and R2-D2 as a unit. They're in all the films. They survive all the films. They have their own comic book series. They have their own TV show. They show all the emotions. A lot of people were influenced by them, whether they wanted to emulate them or find the exact opposite versions of them. So it's kind of like chicken before the egg type thing. That's what's influencing me. I'm not saying they're the best and they're the baddest or whatever, but without them, would the concept of robots for us be changed? I think so. So that's why I put it down. Okay.
Very popular choice.
That is annoying.
It is annoying. I agree. But like when I sat there and I was thinking about it for a while, and I thought of I went through Transformers. I went through a lot of things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm like, if it wasn't for these things, these two, would we know it as it is today? I don't know. Damn you, George came up with a lot of good stuff.
It's kind of hard to argue against C-3PO and R2-D2 as like they're the best because they're the originators. So, like, all creators after that tried to emulate off of the stardom that came from those types of robots. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, and they're the first AI to almost really kind of, because they came before Transformers, right?
No. 77. Yeah, they came before Transformers, but I'm trying to think of
like the only
they're not the first.
Doctor Who would be the only one I could imagine that there was robots in that
show. I mean, my worst is the robot from Lost in Space, the original series.
God.
Danger,
Will Robinson, danger. That, and he's from before them. And if anything, he's the reason I say he's the worst is because anytime people thought of robots back then, that's who they thought of. This protective, moronic robot that kind of swings its arms around and is trying to protect Will Robinson. And I just wanted to blow his head off because I was just like, you are not protecting anyone waving your arms around like that. You are, if anything, drawing way more attention to this poor kid. Also, stop saying his goddamn full name out here so that everyone knows who he is. Danger. Master, whatever you want to do, but stop saying his name to everyone.
But
yeah, the newer version on the Netflix version of Lost in Space is way better.
Yeah,
actually.
the Lost in Space Netflix series version is badass.
What was your best? Did you skip over your best? Or did
I didn't say my best. I was still thinking. Because my favorite and my worst. But yeah, I still am not sure of who I think the best robot is.
I'll go with who the worst is for me, and it's going to stick in the Star Wars universe. I don't like BB-8. Not one bit.
Yeah, BB-8 is annoying.
I don't even understand the hype. It was all, they just created this weird hype around this circular, spherical thing that somehow magically can go upstairs.
Yeah.
With no...
Well, he climbs the stairs with the grappling, like he shoots a cord, pulls himself up.
Okay, fine. How about when he's traveling on sand? Something that perfectly round and spherical
should just can actually spin in place, yeah.
Yeah, it can't really travel or have any grip or anything like that. Anyway,
I agree with you.
There's no use for it. I didn't like him at all. There was just no use.
People like
Give me R2-D2 all day over this guy.
R2-D2's baby. That's why people like him.
He's not R2-D2's baby.
A lot of people make the comparison that he's the baby of R2-D2. That's why people like them, and he's cute. What I would say as my worst, because I hate him and it made me hate a TV show. Mind you, I'm not necessarily the biggest Fantastic Four fan as it is, but Herbie, I fucking hate
Herbie
that
shit.
robot.
Oh.
He's such a sack of shit. I hate him so much. I remember when I was a kid watching Teletoon and they're starting to bring back all the retro shows.
Yeah.
I'm like, Hulk, okay, that's cool. It's a little off. And then I saw the, Justice League and Amazing Friends or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they showed this Fantastic Four. I'm like, that looks actually very interesting. I'm like, there's Reed, there's Sue, there's Thing. Where's Johnny? We don't have Johnny.
Hey,
we have Herbie.
You want to know who Herbie kind of looks like? Is BB-8, no?
No, if anything,
got the same round underbelly.
No. If anything, he looks like Wally, or Wally looks like him.
Yeah, okay, it's a mix of both.
Yeah, guys,
Wally would win the cutest robot probably.
I don't think I have a best robot. I can't
really?
think. Yeah, I mean, I know who my best robot is. One of my favorite robots, one of the best robots, the robot from iRobot, the one that was made denser. I like the idea that a robot is so well programmed that its whole ideology and understanding of how it connects to people is through how it was built. And it realizes that it was built with a purpose, and like a human starts to feel important. And there's so much in that story. That's why he's one of the best. I don't know if he is the best, but he's one of the best. Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a valid point.
Yeah.
I mean, and that said, there are a ton more, like we said. There's
I should have researched way more.
Big Hero 6. There's Iron Giant. There's even Chappie, I think, deserves an honorable mention here.
I never got a chance to see that movie. Actually,
I liked it. I like Chappie a lot.
I didn't like it.
Yeah. I think that about covers it, guys.
Okay. Cool.
And you know what? Worst will have to be RoboCop. Anyway, all right. So
that's funny.
Final thoughts on Descender, guys. Doc?
Out of 5?
Out of 5.
3.25.
Okay.
3.25, 3.5. I like the story. I like the art. I think it's interesting. But like I said, I'm one of those people that it's really hard for me to ignore similarities. I see iRobot in this when he gets pulled into the dreamscape and sees all the robots in front of him. That's literally iRobot right there. I see Astro Boy in his arm cannon. I see the Matrix and how they treated robots. I see the Superman syndrome of being the last survivor's remorse, I guess, if anything, even though he doesn't really have emotions, but kind of being like the last Tim, and then which is, I guess, undone. But so there's a lot of different pieces, it's like you made this delicious stew, you toss in all the ingredients, and it's good. I actually enjoyed the stew. I'm not mad at the ingredients you put in. I like those ingredients separately, and I like them in the stew. So for me, it's a 3.5. Especially with the art. I really do. I know you didn't like the art, but I genuinely like the art. I do.
I did too.
Yeah.
That said, I mean, you gave this close to the same score as the last issue we just read, so I don't know.
Well, the last issue 2.5. Remember, we all dropped it in there.
You went down. Okay.
Yeah.
You convinced us better otherwise about our choices.
I'm gonna give this a 3.5 as well.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot more to be told. I am curious as to what Tim 22 has to do with any of this, or what the hitchhikers. I was about to call them hitchhikers. What are they called again? The hardwire.
Hardwires.
Yeah. Hardwires and the harvesters.
Piscius.
Yeah. I want to know what their purpose is in all this and their reason for coming after Tim 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more story to be told, and they have me. So I'll probably read for another volume and see where it takes me from there. Sure. What about you, Dave?
They definitely pissed on this enough with Pistis.
You get points for the attempt. I don't know about the execution.
I stuttered. It's because I stuttered. I give it a 2.79.
Wowzers.
Oh God.
It's just, I really was turned off by the art. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely certain pages that are absolutely beautiful. There's actually some pages, even the cover. That I think, what cover is that, Doc?
The cover is the volume 1 tin stars.
Like, I actually think it's there's certain pages that I would even be happy to put in my house, like
as art. Art, definitely.
But for me, I didn't like it. It was a throw off mixed with, for me, a lot of being able to like precog everything. I predetermined a lot of what was going on throughout the whole thing. It just wasn't for me. Sure, if you're really into sci-fi and you want something that's the opposite of the norm, pick it up. I'm not saying it's not a read, but maybe someone paid me, I'd read the next volume.
Oh, damn. You have to be paid to read? Okay.
Not a lot, like at least a toonie or something.
Buy me a coffee, I'll read your comic.
Exactly.
Give me a cheeseburger.
That's funny. Okay. So, guys, that's the end of the show. Final thoughts. That is the end of the issue. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. It's been another fun one. Dave, squared-idea.com.
Please visit. By the time you're listening to us, definitely we have Trinity 1 out. We definitely have the Fathom out. Mike has an interesting, eventually, coffee table book, Animals with Weapons, which you could check on our Instagram. It's quite hilarious. It's very enjoyable to see. And
you're listening. I have some ideas on Animals with Weapons because I was thoroughly unsatisfied with your previous one that had to do with the anteater. I felt like that was a bit of a cop-out, Mike. So Mike, if you're listening, I would like to throw some suggestions out there to you. So yeah, Mike, if you are listening, I'm kidding. I'm only saying this because Mike literally walked into the room not too long ago. Say hello to the people, Mike.
Oh, hold on.
You want to turn his mic on?
Yeah, let me turn his mic on. Say hello.
Hello.
There you go.
Okay, so that was a result of not thinking ahead because originally I got overzealous because I thought spear anteater, and after saying it enough times, I was like, you know what, that is totally unsatisfactory. But I had already drawn the anteater, so I went through, I think maybe 20 minutes to 40 minutes of just looking at all the weapons of history, trying to find one that would rhyme with anteater. And I'm telling you right now, it was beyond frustrating. And the worst part was I didn't go silly. And if you look in the comments, somebody's put egg beater, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
That was
you?
Is
that you?
No, I said it. I didn't even know that happened.
Oh, okay. Because I know you suggested it at one point.
Because there was somebody that said egg beater. I'm like, you know what? That probably would have been funny because I probably could have just tangled the egg beater within its tongue. And it would have been funny, but repeater rifle.
Well, now you know.
Now I know. Yeah, well, but like part of the fun is the guessing game. And the best part is is when somebody suggests something and it always blows my mind. I'm just like, oh my god, that was such a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? But I mean, part of the learning
I wrote
curve, I guess.
space heater.
Yeah, that killed me. I was like, what's he gonna do?
That's actually good too.
It's just like with the cord, like he's like David and Goliath type thing.
But yeah, if you want, for Geektastic, when we're doing it, I'm going to be talking a little bit as well. So if you want to throw some ideas or comments in there, if you have any ideas, go for it, man.
Done.
Very open to suggestion. I have a list that's slowly growing, and it's not my own ideas.
I send him 10 a day.
It's like a collective of random people that I talk to about it that are just like, hey, did you do this? And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
I love the idea
great.
that this is it's like you're the creator, but a lot of people are like pitching
Collaborators.
Yeah, collaborators. There, that's the right word.
I always like the idea of involving my audience. So like, even for the Fathom, if somebody, let's say, had a really good pick of themselves as a zombie, I say send it in. There's a good chance I can make you a zombie in one of the issues. So
there you go.
I like involving people if I can. Dope. I find it creates a much more enjoyable read.
Oh, what's your Instagram?
It's always much more fun when it's interactive.
What's your Instagram?
Coxie Art. So it's C0XY_art.
There you go.
It used to be the Fathom, but then I realized that.
Well, you're doing other things too.
Yeah, and I realized that I was like, okay, I'm not going to start multiple Instagram pages.
Yeah,
that's
fair. That's
absolutely pointless.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Coxie Art, C0XY_art.
There you go.
There
Guys,
you go.
that's the whole show. Thank you very much. That Fit Dude. At That Fit Dude on Instagram.
That's right.
The Adonis.
And didn't we look up Adonis?
You should take it. You should take that handle,
and then
bro.
at Brian Holiday, HOLIDAE. Find us on Instagram. And yeah, that's the whole show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, you can always check everything out at franklinarmstrong.com. We have Geektastic Cypher, That's Canon, Running with Wolves, The Morning Deep, which is on CKUT in Montreal. You can listen to it at 7 a.m. on TuneIn, the app. And lastly, the most recently added K and Them podcast. Check it all out on franklinarmstrong.com or follow us on Instagram at @AStrongFranklin. That's the show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back with another wonderful issue in the near future. That's it. That's all.
See you next time.
See ya.